think that should hold.
All right. Okay, we're on.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Fun Facts about the Saints. And today we have a very special guest today. And today we are interviewing how you pronounce it?
Saint Bede the Venerable.
Saint Bede the Venerable. Yeah. Okay, so let's begin. So why did you join the Benedictines?
So this is a great question, but it's kind of complicated. So I was born in 7th century England, and at the time the land was owned by 2 monasteries. So my parents, when I was 7 years old, gave me up as what they call like an offered child or an offered son or an offered boy. And I joined to get an education and to learn how to live life of holiness. And then when I became older, I joined the Benedictines, the order that I lived with since I was a child, and later was ordained to the diaconate, and then later still, so I think the diaconate was when I was 19, and then at 30, I was ordained to the priesthood.
So why do they call you venerable, even though you're a saint?
So again, that's a great question, although it's a little strange to think of myself in that way, given how humble I am. People started respecting my life and thinking of me as a holy person shortly after I died. So they venerated me, remembering me, honoring me on the day I died, which is May 26th. But it wasn't until 1899 that I became an official canonized saint of the Catholic Church. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy of about 1,000 years in there, where people knew I had lived a holy life and wanted to imitate me and venerate me and be like me, because I tried my best to be like Christ. But it wasn't until much later that I became a saint in the formal sense.
What have you written?
So I've written loads. So in addition to all of my standard copying of the scriptures and of other important learned and sacred texts as a monk, because that's basically what I did all day, was I sat down and did copying. I also wrote some 30 commentaries on the scriptures. And then, of course, my most famous book for which I'm known is History of the Church, or Church History, where I'm today considered the father of the history of the English peoples, because I wrote about the history and the organization of the church in England, where I lived.
Why were you best known for your historical works?
Why was I best known for my historical works? Is that the question?
Yes.
So likely because I was one of the earliest people to sit down and write a history of England. So before that, right, I mean, we had lots of oral traditions. People would sit and talk about what had happened and who had gone before them. But especially at such an early date, I was one of the earliest ones to write it down, and also responsible for a lot of things that we use even today when we talk about history, but don't really even consider it. So I was the first person to use the initials AD before a date. So in the year of our Lord, people hadn't been numbering dates before like that, and it stuck. So it's still around today, despite the emergence of this wonky CE and BCE that some historians lesser than myself tend to use.
Okay, well, let's wrap things up. So just one more question. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Yes. Fun fact. I am, in fact, the only Englishman mentioned by Dante in his Divine Comedy, where Dante gives me the honor of situating me among the learned doctors of the church.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here on Fun Facts About the Saints.
Well, thanks so much, Nick. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, that's it.
I forgot to mention I should have ended with the prayer. I thought it after I said goodbye, because that's what he said when he died, was the glory be. That was his favorite prayer.